If you are a Canadian senior and you think your retirement income is limited to CPP and OAS, you may want to take another look. In 2026, there are several different ways a senior's total income can increase, and some of them have nothing to do with receiving a brand new government check. Some increases can come through benefit adjustments, some through age-based eligibility, some through tax credits, and others through provincial programs that many seniors never check. The biggest mistake is assuming that the amount currently arriving in your bank account is automatically the maximum amount you can receive. Your retirement income can depend on your age, income, marital status, CPP contribution history, tax situation, province, and whether you have applied for programs you qualify for. So today, I want you to look at your retirement income differently, because one missed benefit or tax saving can make a real difference when you are living on a fixed income. Start with old age security, because this is one of the most important payments for Canadian seniors and one that can change as you get older. OAS is adjusted periodically based on changes in the cost of living, so the amount is not simply one permanent number for every senior. There is also an important age milestone at 75. Eligible OAS recipients can receive a higher OAS amount after turning 75. So if you are approaching your 75th birthday, do not simply assume your payment will stay exactly the same forever. Check your OAS information and make sure you understand when your age-related increase should apply to your situation. There is another OAS decision that some seniors should understand before they automatically start collecting at 65. In certain circumstances, delaying OAS can increase the monthly amount you receive later. That does not mean delaying is automatically the right decision for everyone. Your health, other income, taxes, GIS eligibility, and personal circumstances all matter. But the important point is that turning 65 does not mean there is only one possible OAS strategy. You should understand your options before making a decision that could affect your retirement income for years. Now, let's talk about the Canada Pension Plan, because CPP is another area where seniors often focus on only one number. Your CPP amount is influenced by factors such as your contribution history, your pensionable earnings, and the age at which you start receiving the pension. That is why two Canadians who are the same age can receive very different CPP amounts. It does not necessarily mean one person is being treated unfairly. Their contribution histories may simply be different. There is also something working seniors should understand. If you are receiving CPP and continue working, your continued CPP contributions can potentially create a post-retirement benefit. So continuing to work after starting CPP is not necessarily just about your current paycheck. Eligible contributions may increase your future CPP through that additional benefit. If you are over 60, still working and already receiving CPP, take the time to understand how your contributions are affecting your situation instead of assuming nothing can change anymore. Now we come to one of the most important benefits for lower income seniors, the Guaranteed Income Supplement, commonly known as GIS. GIS provides additional monthly support on top of OAS for eligible low-income seniors. And this is where many seniors make a costly assumption. They think their income is probably too high, or they assume that because they already receive OAS, there is nothing else to check. But GIS eligibility depends on your actual circumstances, including income and marital status. If your income has recently changed because you retired, your spouse passed away, or your household financial situation changed, it is worth checking your current eligibility rather than relying on an old assumption. And there is one habit that can affect several senior benefits at the same time: filing your tax return. Even if you do not owe income tax, filing can still be extremely important because government programs use your tax information to determine eligibility for various benefits and credits. If you have been skipping your tax return because you believe your income is too low for taxes, reconsider that decision. A tax return is not only about paying taxes, It can also be the information the government needs to determine whether you qualify for benefits. Now, let's talk about something that may not look like a government pay raise, but can put more money back into your pocket: tax savings. Canadian seniors may qualify for the federal age amount, which can reduce the amount of income subject to federal tax for eligible seniors. It is not a separate monthly check, but if you qualify, it can reduce your tax burden. There is also the pension income amount for eligible pension income. And for retired couples, pension income splitting can be especially important. If one spouse has substantially more eligible pension income than the other, splitting eligible pension income may help reduce the household's overall tax burden. This is not a new pension payment, but the result can still be significant. Paying less tax means keeping more of your retirement income. That is why I want seniors to stop thinking about retirement increases only in terms of new checks. Sometimes the most valuable increase is simply keeping more of the money you already receive. Now, there is another area Canadian seniors should watch closely in 2026: federal support for lower and modest income households, including the GST/HST credit and the changes surrounding the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit. Eligibility depends on your circumstances, and these programs are connected to your tax information. Again, that brings us back to the importance of filing your taxes. If your tax return is missing or your information is outdated, you may not receive every benefit or credit you could otherwise qualify for. This is one of the easiest things to overlook because many seniors think, "I do not owe anything, so why should I file?" But retirement benefits and tax credits can make that decision much more important than you realize. Now let's move from federal programs to provincial benefits, because this is where the situation can change dramatically depending on where you live. Canada does not have one identical senior benefit system across every province. Prescription drug coverage, property tax programs, transportation discounts, vision coverage, and other supports can vary depending on your province or territory. So if you recently turned 65, one of the best questions you can ask is very simple: what does my province now provide because I am a senior? You might discover that you qualify for prescription support, transportation discounts, property tax relief, vision benefits, or another income-tested program that you were not eligible for before. But there is an important warning here. Not every provincial benefit is automatic. Some programs require an application, some depend on income, some have deadlines, and some are only available to people who meet specific conditions. So do not assume that because another senior receives a benefit, you automatically receive it too. Check the current rules for your province. Property taxes are another area worth checking, especially if you own your home. For many retired Canadians, property tax is one of the largest regular expenses outside their mortgage or housing costs. Depending on where you live, there may be a senior property tax rebate, deferral, grant, or other form of relief. These programs are not identical across Canada, so you need to check your own province and municipality. If you are paying thousands of dollars in property taxes every year, do not simply assume there is nothing available to you. Look at the current senior programs in your area and check whether your income and age make you eligible. Now imagine two Canadian seniors with similar CPP and OAS payments. The first senior files their taxes every year, checks their GIS eligibility, reviews provincial programs, looks for property tax relief, monitors OAS adjustments, and reviews their tax credits. The second senior simply looks at the CPP and OAS deposits appearing in their bank account and assumes that is the maximum they can receive. Their gross pension income could be similar, but their actual disposable income could be very different. That is why the better question is not simply, how much CPP and OAS do I receive? The better question is, what else could I qualify for based on my age, income, family situation, and province? That question can change the way you approach retirement planning. Couples should also review their situation both individually and as a household. One spouse's income can affect taxes and certain income-tested benefits. If you are recently widowed, recently retired, or your household income has changed significantly, do not continue using old assumptions about your benefits. Your circumstances may have changed, and your eligibility may have changed with them. And please be careful with dramatic claims you see online. You may see headlines promising that every senior is receiving a guaranteed $1,000, $2,000, or some other huge increase. Real Canadian benefits do not work that way. Eligibility rules matter, age matters, income matters, marital status can matter, contribution history can matter, province can matter. So use headlines as a reason to investigate, not as proof that a specific payment is guaranteed for you. If you are between 60 and 65, understand your CPP options before you start collecting. If you are approaching 65, review CPP, OAS, and potential GIS eligibility together rather than looking at them separately. If you are approaching 70, understand the financial impact of delaying OAS and whether that strategy makes sense for your circumstances. If you are approaching 75, understand the OAS increase associated with that age milestone and when it should apply. If you are already 75 or older, review your OAS information and make sure your payment reflects your eligibility. If you are still working while receiving CPP, understand the post-retirement benefit rules. If your income is modest, check GIS and other income-tested supports. If you are married, review whether pension income splitting could reduce your household tax bill. And every year, file your tax return even if you believe you owe no tax. That one habit can be connected to several important benefits and credits. So, is there one giant pay raise coming for every Canadian senior in 2026? The real answer is more complicated, and that is actually more useful. The opportunity is not necessarily one massive new check. It can be a combination of benefit adjustments, age-related increases, tax savings, income-tested programs, and provincial support. Some changes may happen automatically. Some depend on your income, some depend on your age, and some require you to take action yourself. That is why I want you to do a retirement income check today. Look at your CPP information. Look at your OAS information. Check whether you are receiving GIS if you believe you may qualify. Review your latest tax return. Check your provincial senior programs. If you own a home, investigate property tax relief. If your circumstances have changed recently, make sure the government has the correct information. And if you are unsure about a benefit, verify the current rules directly with CRA, Service Canada, or your provincial government rather than relying on a social media post. Because the most expensive assumption in retirement can be thinking, whatever I receive now must be everything I am entitled to. Maybe it is, but until you check, you simply do not know. And if you discovered even one benefit, tax saving, or program today that you had never checked before, share this information with another Canadian senior. One simple reminder could encourage someone to review their benefits and discover support they may have overlooked. Retirement income is not always increased by a brand new check. Sometimes the increase comes from an adjustment, sometimes it comes from a tax credit, sometimes it comes from an additional benefit, and sometimes it is simply money you were already eligible for but never claimed. So stay informed, keep your records updated, file your taxes, check your benefits, and never assume that the amount currently arriving in your account is automatically the maximum available to you.